I'm gonna cry. I've really been torn as to whether or not I even wanted to make this video. I felt like that God was really telling me that we needed to share our story. There's so many people who are out there hurting right now. If we can help one person, I feel like it's worth it. I'm married to Josh, who is my everything. I always knew that he was strong, but I have a new sense of love and appreciation for that man. So last year in January, we were working on a house in Southside on Prince Circle. Josh's feet started hurting, pretty bad. Doing home remedies, he was doing ice baths and, BioFreeze, taking ibuprofen, and they were just not getting any better. And we started, kind of going and seeing some doctors. We went to a podiatrist. His legs started getting weak and he was having some shakiness in his legs. We went and saw primary care, and she thought that maybe something was going on with his back and sent him for an MRI. He had a disc that was abnormal. So they sent him for a nuclear bone scan last year. That disc showed some abnormality. Ended up at seeing a doctor in Birmingham, who really felt like it wasn't a big deal. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, his condition started rapidly deteriorating before my eyes. He lost about 30 pounds, was very weak. He was in a lot of pain. Like everything in his body was just aching and hurting, and his feet were burning, and we couldn't get any answer. We ended up seeing an endocrinologist here locally. Ordered a ton of tests. They found a protein, it's an M protein, on that same protein in his urine. He just said, hey, I'm not sure what's going on, but I really think that you need an oncology referral. Very scary phone call. This is where God totally intervened though. Probably within 10 minutes of getting that phone call from the endocrinologist, my mother-in-law, Regina, sent us a text message and said, hey, I saw Josh today and I'm really worried about him. He didn't look good. And here's the number for the lady at the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. That's where my mother-in-law's best friend has been going there for years. And she said, I don't know if they can help you, but maybe they can. And she knew, that Josh had been struggling, but we hadn't really told anybody how bad it was. Called CTCA. I talked to the lady and she said, they normally don't take undiagnosed patients. I got a phone call back from the lady at CTCA and she said, you're not gonna believe this, but they have agreed to see y'all. And it was like, okay, Lord, let's get through this. We go in April and see an oncologist at the Cancer Treatment Center in Noonan, Georgia. Really smart guy, young doctor. And he tells us that he thinks that Josh has something called POEMS, P-O-E-M-S. So POEMS is an acronym, and it stands for the symptoms that someone with POEMS should have or could expect to have. We were over in April for the biopsy and for the PET scan, and we were coming back home, and I called CTCA. They told us the bone marrow biopsy would take a while, but I knew the PET scan would, that was something we could see almost immediately. So I had called to ask about when we could expect those results. Left a message, and we got back home, and they called me back. And at this point, I was alone. The lady that I'm talking to, she's like, oh yes, we can find out. Let me pull up the results. And she starts going through the results of the PET scan, and she accidentally tells me that they had found multiple bone lesions. She kind of wanted to backtrack and said, oh wait, let's just talk to the doctor. I don't really know what I'm looking at. But I knew, I knew at that point that was the fight. But it is a blood cancer. I was devastated. I couldn't tell him. And I'm sorry. I just got in the car and I left. And I drove around and I was crying, and I was just crying out to God. You know, Lord, why? People, why? Why? He's such a good man. I mean, it just didn't seem fair. And I heard the Lord say to me, well, Jody, don't you remember when this happened in your past and you thought that it was a curse and it turned out to be a blessing? And don't you remember when this other thing happened and you thought it was the worst thing ever and it turned out to be the best thing? And he just kept reminding me of all these times in my life when things seem insurmountable. And then in hindsight, you can look back and see that God had a plan. And so I just said, okay, Lord, thank you. And so I had this like complete peace that came over me. I knew he's gonna be okay. But I also heard in that moment of pain that you still gotta fight the fight. That's the worst part. You still gotta fight the fight. Fast forward a few days later, and I was listening to Pastor Michael Cox at our old church in Anniston. Pastor Mike, he's hilarious. He was talking about COVID and about, you know, finding opportunity and finding blessings in bad situations. And he said, embrace the suck. Did he just say that? Embrace the suck. And he said, yes, embrace the suck. He said, that's an old military thing. And it means when you make a conscious decision to do something that you don't want to do, something that's uncomfortable, that's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but you know that the only way to get to the other side is to do it. And so embrace the suck. And I thought, okay, Lord, here we go. That's my motto for 2020. Embrace the suck. Actually, one of my best friends had t-shirts made that say that, embrace the suck 2020. And, you know, I know that there are people out there who are hurting, who are going through their own tragedies, and this nation's hurting. And I want to say that you can't eliminate the bad. It would be nice if we could, but this is the only place where it's perfect is in heaven. And this isn't heaven. In every situation, there is an opportunity to find good if you allow yourself. And, you know, I think that this that's been going on with us is about us living our best life. And if you guys have been following me on social media, you know that's a hashtag that I use all the time, our best life. I realize that if I'm just working all the time, I'm not taking care of myself, I'm missing out with my kids, that's not living our best life. And so I think that the blessing that's going to come out of all of this with Josh is that I'm learning how to work smarter. I'm learning how to delegate. I am savoring every moment that I can with my kids, with my husband. You know, I'm loving the good days and I'm fighting through the bad days. And that's all you can do. But I am gonna live my best life, regardless of what happens. I hope the same for all of y'all.